Here, a short overview.
Or anywhere else, Sherpa is someone who's helping you carry, but that's not who Sherpas are. It's a tradition, it's a culture. I always say they are not the sidekicks, they're actually the heroes. The mountains are beautiful, but there's a lot more to offer. Get indulged in the culture, in the food, in the language, in the people. Just sit and admire your surrounding, just not in Nepal, anywhere in the world as well. We've lived through civil wars. We've lived through load shedding where there was no electricity for, 18 hours. We've lived through fuel crisis. There was no petrol, earthquake, so many changes in government, but people keep smiling, and that's something I really like.
Welcome to the podcast Global Communicator. Don't believe tourists, we ask the locals. Global Communicator, the podcast.
Hi, Riya.
Hi.
Hi. What a pleasure to have someone from Nepal here today.
Thank you.
And here we are in Munich because you're already since 5 years here in Munich, right? You came here to make your master.
Exactly.
You're 27 years old and you're working for a tech company, is that right? You're a consultant there. But born and raised in Kathmandu in Nepal, right?
Exactly.
So perfect guest to show our listeners how life in Nepal is going to be, right? If someone travels there, you have perfect insider tips. We already spoke a lot about it in advance, and I'm curious what you're gonna tell us today.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for to be here. So first of all, can you give our listeners a small overview about your home country?
Sure. So Nepal is a very small country in Asia, small but beautiful. It's a landlocked country, so it's surrounded by India and China. The population is around 30 million people in Nepal. The main city, the capital city, is Kathmandu. What's also very interesting that not a lot of people might not know is there are 6 seasons in Nepal, so it's filled with obviously the 4 main seasons, but also rainy monsoon season, and there's a harvest season as well.
When are they?
Good question. So each season is divided into 2 or 3 each. Rainy season is around August, and the harvest is right around spring season. Yeah.
But is it worth it to go in the rainy season to Nepal?
No, I would not recommend that. Especially if you want to go trekking in the mountains. The roads are very natural. It's not pitched road. So I would recommend the best time to go to Nepal, depending upon what you want to see, which is trekking for a lot of people. That would be around October, November, best time to see the mountains. It's very clear as well, the sky, so yeah.
Yeah, well, you gave us already a hint. Nepal is famed for the mountains, right? So
Of course, yeah.
Point a few mountains out. And is it able also for, I'm curious, for a normal guy to go up to some high mountains?
Yes, so it depends upon how high you're talking about. I would always recommend having a guide with you, especially the treacherous areas where you have to walk are not that easy. So always having a guide who knows the area well is my first recommendation. But now that I think about it, it's so beautiful. If you get just a little bit higher from the city, you can see lots of different floras and faunas. There's green everywhere in the hill, and you take one turn and you see the white mountains around. So it's just very beautiful. In terms of recommendations, of course, there's the very famous treks like the Everest Base Camp trek, which usually a person could do, a person with very normal activity, working out once, twice, could do. But I would say there are lots of trekking areas that you can easily do. It's a little bit of uphill, obviously, because you have to climb altitude, but it's not that difficult, the easy ones. They're very, very difficult ones.
Especially until the base camps, it's probably...
Until the base camp. If you want to climb a mountain, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sure our listeners are able to get up to many base camps. For example, the Everest base camp, as you already mentioned, right?
Yes, they're able to get to the base camp. It takes about 7-8 days, depending upon what your speed is. So again, if you ask for my recommendation, I would always tell them to maybe not do the most commercial treks, but there's so many other trekkings around Nepal, in the north of Nepal, that you can do that's not that commercial, but you get the same, maybe even more real beauty of Nepal. And those are similar.
Overcrowded, I guess.
It's not overcrowded, yeah. But of course, Everest is the most famous one.
It's not no hidden spot anymore, right?
No.
Like the Everest base camp tour, everyone knows it's quite able to do for everyone, and that's why it's really crowded nowadays, for sure. Yeah, well, thanks for the really fast input about the mountains and everything, but Nepal is much more, right?
Exactly, yeah. So that's what we were talking about earlier as well. Mountains, very beautiful. Everyone knows that the Himalayas. But besides that, Nepal has a lot more to offer. Like we were talking earlier, there are 3 terrains in Nepal. There is complete flatlands called the Tarai in the south. There's lots of agriculture, vegetations there, closer to India. It's very, very beautiful. You see amazing sunsets just touching the land, for example. Then there's the hilly area, hilly region in the middle. Lots of hills, lots of amazing cultural people living in the hilly areas. Then there is the mountains. So yes, trekking should definitely be on your itinerary. But besides that, if you have time to go to national parks, for example, to maybe go to the Tarai and see the difference between the altitude, not just the altitude, but the people, the culture, the traditions, the food, the language. So yes, again, also mountains, Himalayas, the perfect thing, but many more other places to see in Nepal.
But if we already speak about activities and what to do there, is there something what people definitely have to do if they're in Nepal?
Yes, so I will give you 3-4 things maybe together. First of all, again, not to miss, do a trek. Maybe I'm a little biased, but it's very, very life-changing.
But that's why we're here. We ask the locals because they know it from their own experience.
Yeah, exactly. So trekking is something I would definitely recommend. Maybe not a commercial one. You don't have to be 8, 9, 10 days, but 2-3 days is also, you get a feeling of how Nepal truly is.
If I'm already at that, just sorry for interrupt you, but how do I book that? Should I book it back at home here in Europe, or should I go there and ask the agency there? What's smarter to do?
So you can do both.
Yeah.
If you have time, I would say not to waste time there looking for an agency, but already do your pre-prep. There's lots of websites, TripAdvisor, so many information you can find. So rather do it from here than go there and waste your time looking at agencies. You can do it from there as well, but you can rather use that time traveling around.
So rebook something.
Exactly, yeah. One thing I want to add there is you do need a permit. So you have to pay a little bit to get the permit in national parks or in mountain areas, and you do need something called a TIMS, T-I-M-S, that is a permission to go into these mountainous areas. It's a few dollars, or pounds or euros, but that's definitely you need to keep in mind.
So Nepal is no trip for spontaneous guys. You need to prepare a bit in advance.
You need to prepare a little bit in advance, yeah. You could do it spontaneous as well, but recommendation is prepare beforehand, yeah.
So if I travel there are many activities to do for sure, but is there also cities worth it to go? Are there some places which you want to point out which people should see when they are there?
Exactly, so that comes back into the 3-4 things to do along with mountains. Cities, yes. Very interesting fact about Nepal is it's divided into 75 districts. I would definitely recommend people, they will land in Kathmandu, but to also go to Bhaktapur and Lalitpur, which is close by to Kathmandu. They are these ancient cities, kind of having a medieval vibe, completely kind of takes you to a different world, if I may say. So those are the cities definitely. But besides that, Pokhara is another amazing city. It's like a hippie town with lakes around. Then the lake is surrounded by the hills. Then the hills are surrounded by the mountains, and you see that picturesque view. So that's another city.
Hipara, what's the name?
Pokhara.
Pokhara. Okay, Pokhara.
Exactly. Yeah. And maybe two more. Chitwan is where our national park is, very famous national park. So if you want to see exotic animals. And then Lumbini is the birthplace of Buddha. So I would also recommend, if you want to do a couple of days meditation or something, to go over there. Everything is connected with air as well as bus.
Awesome. So everything within one trip actually, and within a few hours driving.
Yeah. The roads are not the best, so you can't expect a pitched road all the time, especially in monsoon. If you go to trekking areas, so prepare that in mind. However, you will have the best experience. So if you have maybe 2 weeks in Nepal, you can do a trek as well as all these cities as well. Yeah.
But when I'm there, so probably I have already booked my tour. But if I don't have a tour or something, I should rent a car probably, because public transport going around is it works there very well, or is it better to rent my own car?
It's a very good question, actually. We drive motorcycles and scooters. Cars, yes, but I would rather recommend renting a bike if you have the license, of course, a motorbike. So lots of people.
Need the license.
You need the license.
That would be my next question, actually.
You need the license. We drive on the left, like in the UK, so it's probably difficult in the beginning. But if you want to rent, you can rent it. But there are cabs, taxis. That's not that expensive. The conversion rate is very low in Nepali rupees, so you can go anywhere by cabs as well. But I would say you have to take once a public transport to experience the public transport.
Yeah, well, especially in many opera countries, it's always experience. Sometimes it's really full, sometimes really old cars, and sometimes you're surprised how great this public transport works and everything.
Yeah. We don't have time schedules for public transport. It comes as it goes. So it's very...
And you hitchhike them, right?
You could hitchhike them as well. Done lots of hitchhiking when I went climbing as well. But a recommendation, if you have booked already, yes, perfect. If not, you can rent a motorbike there or a scooter there. Yeah.
Well,
yes.
Probably not in the rain season. Motorbikes.
Inside the city, you can definitely
go even in the rain season.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So listeners, if you go there, rent a motorcycle, let us know how it was, and send us some pictures. We will be curious. And good luck. Yeah, perfect. Thanks. Let's continue. We already wrote a few topics down that we got a good guideline. So there is a secret spot which we spoke about, or a secret thing to do. Can you tell our listeners what it will be?
Yes. So it's not so much of a spot, but more a thing to do. If you go to the cities that I mentioned, or maybe to like mountain areas like Pokhara, for example, I would definitely recommend people to do a homestay for a couple of days. You can easily, your tour guide, for example, might have information on that. Or if you meet a local, you could ask where they can do a homestay in these areas. But I would definitely recommend doing a homestay. Then you can have actually experience of how a Nepali family would live like. There are also programs where, for example, you help them out with farming for a couple of days, and then in return they let you stay at your home and have the food that they usually would eat. So if you want this kind of experience, I have had amazing experience with homestays. So yeah.
You also made that by your own?
I did homestays as well.
Okay.
Not in my home, but I went to
farmer and helped him.
Yeah.
Really nice. And how long is that normally? How long do you stay in average? Is it like 1 month, 2 months, or
it depends upon you. I think they have programs as well. This is becoming quite famous these days, the homestays. But if you have 2 days, or if you have 1 week or a month, depends.
It's also daily based possible, so you can go there just for 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So it's, well, I'm totally get why it's popular. What
Yeah.
a cool experience. It will
You
be.
get to experience how people live in
Yeah.
these areas, and not in Kathmandu, not in big cities, but in villages, in homes, and help them out as well. So that'd be a cool experience.
Are Nepalis very open-minded for foreigners?
Yes, we treat guests as highly respect guests, and we treat them as gods, I would even say. So we are very, very open. If you ask anyone who's not a Nepali, who's been there, I mean, experiences differ, but I would bet most of them will say people were very, very nice. So we do treat foreigners, tourists with open arms, visitors with open
That's
arms.
also what I heard, because many Austrians are going to Nepal,
Yeah.
obviously for the mountains,
Yeah.
to make the big mountains, and there are many, many documentaries about it. So listeners, if you want to see some documentaries about Nepali, I totally can recommend all of them, right? Do you have something directly in your mind, like some documentaries which are very good, or a movie from last time?
Yeah, I think a lot of the viewers might have also already seen 14 Peaks. Very good representation of the mountains, the people there. But besides that, I would actually recommend, not very popular, but just going into, if you want to look at the history of Nepal, for example, going into YouTube and searching Tony Hagen, and he has made videos of Nepal back in the 60s, 70s. That is so interesting how the city used to look like. It's like this ancient medieval times where there were hippies, for example, but also so clean the place. It's something definitely I would recommend. It's like a documentary, so footage of videos.
Okay.
One after another.
Tony Hagen.
Tony Hagen videos. I personally love it.
Yeah, we will definitely put it in the description, and our listeners can easily find it afterwards.
Super.
Perfect. Well, if we are already speak about popular things, like you say popular videos, there's one popular thing about Nepal too, the food. Like anywhere around the world you can find Nepali restaurants. So give us a small input about your favorite dishes.
Right. Hands down, I've learned the importance since I came here is momos. So momos are these dumplings, basically, to explain in a simple word, eaten with something called acar. They are tomato sauce, peanut sauce, however you would like to make it, depends upon every household or every restaurant. But the best momos are the local momos, not in a fancy restaurant, but in, kind of sketchy looking places. Those are, they're staple food, I would say, for Nepali people. But something you find in every household, every day, that cooks in every household is dal bhat.
Dal bhat.
So it actually translates to lentils and rice. Very staple food of Nepal. I grew up eating it twice a day. I'd never get sick of it. But it's not just lentils and rice. I feel like it's good, nutritious meals with lots of veggies, chickens on Saturdays, and the acar, the tomato sauce, with some greens. So it's like a whole complete meal. Those two, I would say, are the most popular.
And locals eat that for dinner and lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we eat that. I mean, not every household, but it's quite common. Me, for example, I used to eat it before I went to school. And then when I came back from school.
As a breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a common breakfast to eat some warm meals in the morning?
Yeah, warm, yes. Not dal bhat necessary, but yeah. We have warm tea. Tia, we call it, milk tea in the morning. So it's quite common, yeah.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, thanks for the recommendations. And well, if we are already here, do you have a favorite Nepali restaurant here in Munich? So if we have some listeners from Germany, maybe they will check it out here.
Yeah, I know two of them, but my favorite is called Yak and Yeti. It's in Donnersberger Brücke, I believe, but the restaurant's called Yak and Yeti. Definitely go there, try out the momos. It's very close to home momos as well, so yeah.
Yeah, if we are already back in the European Union, is there any relationship between the European Union and Nepal?
Yeah. So there's definitely the biggest relationship I would say is from trade. Nepal exports a lot of handmade Nepali product with hemps, for example, to the European Union, and in reverse, I think European Union has also, not specific countries, but the European Union as a whole has also supported Nepal in different projects, I believe. But one that I know because I am in Germany and I researched on it is something called DAAD, D-A-A-D. Which is supporting Nepali students to get their higher education in Germany. So this is one I know, but of course the others is definitely the biggest one I would say is trade with trade. Yeah.
The trade relationships, yeah. But did you went actually by European Erasmus program or something to make your master to Europe?
No, I did it on my own.
On your own, okay. So if we already speak about visa, it's probably harder to get from Nepal to Europe than in the other way.
Yeah.
So Europeans, how easy is it to get for a European visa in Nepal?
It's quite easy. Tourism is one of the biggest, economically as well, but also, as I said, we treat guests as gods. It's quite easy to have tourists in the country. For Europe, I would say, I know for Germany, so I'll speak for Germany. You just have to go in. It's an entry visa, so you don't need anything. You just need to fill a form, go in, and then you get on-place visa.
So already in Kathmandu, we get the visa.
You just wait in line, you get the visa. You get a 90-day visa, but I think you can extend it as well. Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same other way around, though.
I expected that, yeah.
Different process, yeah.
As we spoke already, tourism is a very important economic, the topic economic. So what's the biggest economic thing in Nepal?
So I would say agriculture, definitely trade as well, import-export of Nepali products. If you put it in a cluster, those would be the most important. However, these days, a lot of Nepali youngsters are going abroad. And now, if you look at it from a GDP perspective, I think the biggest economical boost in the country would be through remittance, because a lot of students are not students, but workers send money home. So this is a curse and a boon, both for the country. But yeah, I would say remittance, agriculture would be the highest.
But development is going in the right direction, or what do you say?
I would definitely say yes. The political situation. One fun fact, now that I thought about it, the mayor of Nepal is actually used to be a hip hop artist.
No way.
And he had rap battles in YouTube, so that's, I think, so amazing. It's really cool.
Yeah, so you can still look up the rap battles.
Yeah, you can.
And now he is the major
mayor of Kathmandu. His name is Balen. So it's yeah, we're.
Yeah, if we find it, we also will put it in the description.
That was a long time ago, but still, that was
to all listeners which are listening on Spotify, you can also check out our YouTube channel, and there you will find also a description with
Balen.
Balen, exactly. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, getting back to the topic. So the political situation or the development, economic development, definitely going towards the right way, I would say. The pace differs. It's quite slow, but we're definitely going towards the right direction. I think after the earthquake of 2015, there was a huge earthquake back then. A lot of non-resident Nepalese or Nepalese who were living abroad, they went back home and started investing on SMB, like small businesses there as well. So economy is definitely going forward, but the pace is slow for whatever reasons. Yeah.
There was another question which you pointed out already in your answer, like the earthquake from 2015. You have been also there, right? So can you give our listeners just a short input? How was it? How was everything afterwards? And you already mentioned that there is a rebuilding and it's going in the right direction, but just a short summarize, because we just saw the pictures in the news and that was horrible, to be honest.
Yeah, it was horrible. I was about to go out at that time on my scooter. So I just imagine if I was on the street on my scooter, which is on two wheels, and something fell on me, it would be, I would have, I might not, I wouldn't be here, I might not be here. Very, very thankful that nothing happened to my family or my close friends, relatives, but it was devastating to go out. So during the earthquake, I felt like the world was ending. You don't know what to do. You can't look up to your parents or police or doctors. Nothing is on human control. So it was quite scary seeing things, the ground that's one thing stable shake. But afterwards, that was the major disaster, I would say, how people lost their homes and everything, but their loved ones as well. I went out to do volunteering support, to give food, medicine to people in the villages where it was mostly affected, and that was just heartbreaking. It's a very emotional topic, but yeah.
Impossible to imagine.
Yeah, it was very scary. Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't be the case again.
Yeah, and even if it does, I hope we're prepared what to do. People have awareness, what to do, where to go. The country is prepared itself, hopefully.
That you at least learn out of it a bit.
Yeah.
Always see positive things, even in very bad
Exactly.
happenings.
Yeah, but one good thing about Nepali people, so we've lived through civil wars, we've lived through load shedding where there was no electricity for, 18 hours. We've lived through fuel crisis, there was no petrol, earthquake, so many changes in government, but people keep smiling, and life goes on, and that's the perfect example in Nepali culture, so that's something I really like.
What a great ending, actually. But I still have one question open. I always ask my interview partners in the end about some words in their own language. First of all, I want to know, is it possible to go just with English to Nepal? Do people speak English there a lot?
As a tourist.
As a tourist, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. As it is a very tourist-oriented country, people speak English. You can't expect a household mother to speak perfect English, but if you're there as a tourist, yes, you can definitely, but maybe I can teach some Nepali words today. So
Go for it. That will be the next. I always try to repeat them, and I'm probably not the best in it, but let's try, and if it's a totally fail, we at least have some fun.
Exactly. Okay, so the very basics. Namaste.
Namaste, very famous.
Then you have Dhanyabad.
Dhanyabad.
Exactly, that's thank you.
Thank you, Yeah, I'm also biased, I already learned that.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Because that was a perfect accent. Dhanyabad. Vigates or how are you is ke cha.
Ke ta.
Ke is like what's up. Ke is what. Ke cha.
Ke ta.
Ke cha.
Ke ta.
Yeah. That's how are you? What's up?
That's actually a question from out of the podcast which I had in advance. Like in your region, the interview partner from last time, they told me that they don't ask how are you people on the street, they ask more or less, did you already eat?
Yeah.
Do you do that too?
That's definitely true. That's like a love language to us. So when I, for example, tell my boyfriend, did you eat? I think it's weird in the beginning to hear, why do you care? But that's like a love language for us. Did you eat means, are you full? Are you okay? Do you need something else? So we definitely ask. Like my mom, when she calls me, the first thing she asks is, did you eat?
Really. And what would that be? So can you say it and I try to repeat it?
Kana.
Kana.
Kayo.
Kana kayo.
Yeah.
Kana
kayo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So listeners, if you ever get a question, kana kayo, say no and you get a lot of food.
Exactly.
A lot of delicious food.
Yeah. Something also maybe would be interesting is we also nod our head this way. So this is yes, this is no. This is also what we do. This is more like, okay, I'll do it.
Look at me.
And there's sideways as well.
Okay, and what means sideways?
That's okay or all right. So
Okay,
there's
but-
yes, no, and okay.
So it's the same direction as in Europe,
Yeah.
but with additional thing.
Exactly.
Okay, now I got it. Perfect. So not so complicated anymore. Perfect. Yeah. In the end, I just want to make a shout out for the Sherpas because they are actually the real heroes according to mountaineering, right?
Yeah.
Just to tell our listeners that they also get the overview what they really do. Like we just see often the Europeans standing in front of the cameras and celebrate their Mount Everest peaks, pictures and things like that. But like Sherpas do that like weekly or even more often, right?
Yeah, I always say they're not the sidekicks, they're actually the heroes. Like example, if you go to the mountain areas, they're superhumans, the heavy weight they carry on their back and walk those altitude, those uphills, that's insane strength you need for that. And they're unsung heroes. Not a lot of people know who supported the mountaineer while going up the mountain. So they're definitely they deserve more praise, but not just praise, also recognition as well. Yeah, and for some of them, it is quite difficult to sustain their life as well. So I definitely think this should be something we need to be aware of, focus and discuss about, to put Sherpas in the front, like give them recognition, more recognition. Yeah.
And also people should think about it if they watch some series or movies about it, that there is always someone behind.
Exactly. So one thing already to know is Sherpa, it's not a job, it's a culture in Nepal, Sherpa culture. One thing you could start from there, for example, because I think in lots of European or anywhere else, Sherpa is someone who's helping you carry, but that's not who Sherpas are.
It's much more.
It's a tradition, it's a culture, it's a cultural part of in the mountain regions as well. They are their own tribe. It's super beautiful, yeah.
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 What an awesome ending. Well, is there anything what you want to add to the podcast? Did I miss something to ask you, or do you want to tell our listeners some additional information about Nepal?
Yeah. No, I think you covered it perfectly. One thing to take away from this podcast, I would say, the mountains are beautiful, but there's a lot more to offer. Get indulged in the culture, in the food, in the language, in the people. Just sit and admire or your surrounding, just not in Nepal, anywhere in the world as well. But I think you covered it quite well.
Perfect. That's happy to hear that. And thanks again to be my guest today.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
And in the end, I just want to thank another guy. That's Calvin, your boyfriend, which was today our video maker and helped us with the preparation. Thanks, Calvin, too. What a pleasure.
You're welcome. No worries.
Guys, see you next time and thanks for listening.